Every day, all I hear is how bad the data and machine learning job market is. And to be honest, I'm getting pretty sick of it. Over the past 5 years, I have consistently landed multiple 100k plus job offers, both as a data scientist and machine learning engineer, from big tech companies to startups. And I've coached many people to do the exact same in my coaching program. But when I go online, apparently there are no data jobs available. So in this video, I want to explain and show you exactly what the state of the current job market is, and go through the 3 main things that you need to do to get hired. And make sure you stick around right to the end, because the last one is a game changer. Let's get into it. Let me quickly spit some facts about what the actual job market looks like and explain to you exactly why it's not actually cooked as everyone online says it is. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, employment of data scientists is projected to grow 34% from 2024 to 2034, much faster than the average for all occupations. This kind of trend is the same for many tech jobs, especially data and machine learning, because this area is simply growing. Every company needs and has loads of data, so needs people to work with that data. So the opportunity in this space is by definition not slowing down. All you need to do is look around you and realize, more and more companies are utilizing data and they need people to use this data. You don't need to go online to understand that, this market's so bad. If you just go from your personal experience and anecdotal evidence, you can see there's so much opportunity and it's only growing. And at a high level, if you look at this graph, you can see that the number of open positions for tech jobs as a whole has been steadily increasing since the big layoffs in 2022 and 2023. There are more open positions today than there was last year and the previous year. So, there's way more opportunities, and that's just consistently growing forward, as shown by this graph. I mean, can you actually remember a time when the job market was actually good when you were in it? I remember when I graduated, it was during the pandemic, and everyone at that point in time was telling me how bad the job market is. But now looking back, we realize, it actually wasn't that bad. And the same will be said for this period of time. The job market is always bad. But the thing is, it's not actually bad. It's more that you're just not good enough yet. And that is the harsh reality. The problem isn't that there are no data or machine learning jobs. The issue comes from candidates who think they are job ready when they haven't even learned how to analyze data, manipulate data, and actually build machine learning models. That's why I've been recommending Data Camp for literally years now for any aspiring data scientist or tech professional. And for this video, I've actually partnered with Data Camp because they are one of the only platforms that teach you data science through doing actual data science work. Their associate data scientist in Python track is really solid to teach you the fundamentals, such as Python, pandas, stats, visualization using Matplotlib and Seaborn, machine learning with scikit-learn, and all of this is delivered through interactive coding tutorials and also really good hands-on videos that you can watch to get that real life experience. This course, like I said, teaches you all the fundamental data science skills you need to succeed in this career in just a single place. And if you want actual proof of your skills and not just adding in another line saying learning data science, then DataCamp offer the data science certification program. So you can go from building the fundamentals to actually validating them in a way that recruiters actually understand. So if you're serious about becoming job ready, then I highly recommend you check out these courses by DataCamp, which are linked in the description below. And now, after you've done this fundamental learning and understanding of the field through DataCamp's courses, it's now time to actually learn and understand the 3 things that really move the needle to getting you hired. Let's start with the first one. Now, for most people, you likely have all the required skills to get a data science job. The problem is you don't present them efficiently. And the first hurdle that everyone falls down upon is having a really optimized and just really good resume and LinkedIn. You have probably slapped a few sentences about your experience, used a blurry photo on your LinkedIn, and just spam technical skills everywhere on your resume, and you think that's good enough. Unfortunately, nowadays that doesn't cut it. And that is what most resumes in this field actually look like. I reckon you spend more time polishing and refining your Instagram page than your resume and LinkedIn, which to me is completely bizarre because your resume and LinkedIn have a much higher ROI for your career and subsequent life than your Instagram page. Yet what I found from the multiple clients I've worked with is that they barely spend any time on the resume and LinkedIn. In fact, I've had people come into my coaching program who have told me that their resume and LinkedIn look completely different from how they first joined to where they were after a few weeks later. That's how crazy and little time people generally put in to these things. And if you just spend a little bit of effort, 10 hours minimum, that's what I recommend, you'll be in the top 20% of candidates easily. Let me now break down the highest ROI things that we have seen that really transforms your resume and LinkedIn. For your resume, make sure you use a clean template with a simple formatting. You can find the one that I recommend and all my clients use in the description below. Make sure your resume is one page, unless you have a decade of relevant experience, which majority of people do not. You should always mention metrics, numbers, and especially financial impact. You can find these, it's just you need to look harder to get them. Ensure that you use action words like led, developed, executed, and conducted. You want to be clear that you did these things that you are listing on your resume. Whatever you do, do not spam so many programming languages and technologies. This is actually a red flag because I doubt you know them all. Have maximum 5 programming languages and maximum 10 technologies. And finally, the real kind of game changer for your resume is to tailor it to every role you apply to. I know that may sound exhausting and boring, but what you actually do is that you have a master resume with all your information in there, and then you simply delete the things which are not relevant to the role you're applying for. It's much easier to subtract things than add things. So create a master resume, can be massive, as big as you want it to be. When you apply for a role, delete every single line that doesn't add to your case for that particular job. That is literally what you need to do to have a really good resume for each role you apply for. I'm telling you right now, most people do not do that. I've reviewed so many resumes I've hired, or I've looked to hire multiple people, and everyone's resumes is just not good enough. And that doesn't mean they're not good, it's just they don't portray that in a very good way when on their resume for this particular role. Now, when it comes to your LinkedIn, this one is so simple, yet many people don't do it, and that is get a clear headshot photo. I have had clients I've worked with literally double the inbound from recruiters from using a better photo. It's crazy because it signals professionalism. If your photo, it looks really nice, it's just clear, it's yourself, it looks professional. So don't underestimate that. Then for your tagline, I really recommend you use the following framework. So you say job title or the title you want, and then like a pipe saying helping X solve Y by doing Z. Really simple, really powerful. You're stating your title. So if you want to be a data scientist, say data scientist. Don't say aspiring. And then you say you do this, solving this by doing this, right? It's really that simple. Make sure on your LinkedIn that you have the correct university and company logos. I've seen profiles where people said they work at Facebook, but they clicked the wrong Facebook kind of company link and their logo is just a stock photo. Again, it just looks sloppy, all right? Don't let these basic things interfere with you getting the job. Then connect with at least one person a day. It's so easy. Connecting with one person a day takes the exact same amount of time as it takes to view an Instagram story. There's literally no excuse. And have a short about section, 3 to 4 paragraphs max, mentioning your experience and technical skills. Whatever you do, do not have any fluffy language like passionate or hardworking. Everyone says this. If I'm hiring you and you're not passionate or hardworking, then you're not going to get hired. It's like, what's the word? That's the baseline. You've got to go above and beyond that. If you do these things I just mentioned for your resume and LinkedIn, I promise you, you will be in the top 20, even top 10% of candidates, because most people do not spend this much time reviewing their professional profile. This is the baseline and the fundamentals of any career search. So once you nail these, everything else becomes much easier. Let me tell you something brutal. If you are cold applying for jobs, you are wasting your time. I can tell you this from first-hand experience. It took me over 400 applications to get my first data science role. I'm not even joking. Look at this screenshot. I'm actually on 499 roles at this point. Like, I'm telling you, you can cold apply like I did, but do you really want to be sending 499 applications for that fact to get your first job or to get the job you're after? Probably not. It's exhausting, it's tiring, and to be honest, it's very ineffective. So I highly don't recommend it. So what do you do? Well, what you do is that you go through referrals. In fact, referrals are, increase your chance of getting through to the offer stage by 6 times. 6 times, right? You're not getting that leverage of like a 6x multiple anywhere else in the application process. You may think it's your background, it's your education, it's you haven't done this project. It's really not. It's simply because your profile looks exactly the same as everyone else. You're not special. I'm not special. But because we're not special means we have to think outside the box and really go through a type of different process. And one of those processes is through referrals. One of my clients landed 5 interviews at their target companies in 1 month from going through referrals using the frameworks that we taught him. Now, that is really impressive. And all it requires is simply putting in the effort and having the courage simply just to ask for referrals. The problem is nowadays we're too scared to ask for anything or put ourselves out there. Yet you'd be surprised how open and, kind some people are if you simply go out your way to ask them. Of course, you have to ask them in a nice way and go about it in the correct manner. But you got to get over the fear of asking someone for a referral, because in most cases, for most companies, they get paid if you get hired. So the incentives are normally perfectly aligned. Getting referrals actually isn't that hard. And there's a playbook that I use and I teach all my clients, which goes as follows. The first one is obviously find a company or job that you want to apply to. Then on LinkedIn, search for employees who work at a company. Then you want to connect with someone, but not just anyone or everyone. You want to connect with people or reach out to people who you have some affinity with. So this could be similar background, university, some company you've worked in the past, just anything that you could, you both share as a commonality, because people are more likely to help people who are similar to them. Then you want to send them a personal message and mention something you liked about their career, role, or aspects. Like, don't just say, can I have a referral? Genuinely be interested in the person and come across very personable, friendly. You don't need to overcomplicate it. Then after they've accepted your connection request, exchange a couple of messages and ask them to jump on a call so you can pick their brain a bit more. And when you're on that call, have a little chit chat, talk to them about the company, their role, and then, say this company is somewhere you could really see yourself working, and say, and ask them, would they mind referring you? People generally will be very open to referring you, and they are also way less likely to say no to your face. So we are playing a little bit of a game here, but that's what you just have to do. What is the alternative? The alternative is cold applying into the void forever and then saying the market's bad. Whereas if you go through this process, fine's a little bit different, but you're 6xing your chances to getting an offer, which is, like I said, it's crazy. The process I just described isn't difficult. Like, everyone can do it. The problem is we're not taught about these techniques in the normal education system. We are taught get a job and then, well, not get a job, get a degree, and then you apply for jobs and you'll get one. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work anymore. Like I said, I've coached many people and many of my clients, and they came to the same realization after I told them to do this process, that this is how you actually get interviews. Everyone also in the job market knows, who are successful in the job market, knows this is a strategy, particularly in tech. And it's just something you have to do. So you got to get over that fear, go through the process, and I promise you're going to see results if you just stick at it long enough. And like I said, the alternative is applying in the void, which you can do, but then you sit there complaining about how you haven't got a job yet. And at that point, you realize, hang on, let me change something, because what I'm doing is clearly not working. So at this point, if you have executed on making a really good resume in LinkedIn and going for referrals, you should be landing so many interviews at this point. The problem is getting the interview is the first stage. The second stage is doing well in the interviews. Now, what I've seen from most people is that they think, oh, I can just wing the interview and do very well. Only later on do they get a grueling machine learning system design interview do they realize, I'm not as good as I thought. The thing is, interviews are, how am I going to say this? They're not necessarily reflective of your abilities or the job you actually do, unfortunately. They are just another step in the process that you need to do to get hired. Now, like I said, in tech, there's a very standardized interviewing process. And the way you actually get good at interviews is simply doing mock interviews. My friend and also career coach, Mandy Liu, did 11 mock interviews with friends for her Meta data scientist interview, which ultimately got her that job at Meta. Even myself, I kind of wish I did mock interviews beginning of my journey, because there are so many interviews early on that I know I could easily pass and even got an offer from if I just did better practice. Now I cruise through interview processes simply because I just put in so much volume and practice over the years. So mock interviews is something you have to do, unfortunately, if you want like a particularly top tier role. And they are the real game changer, because once you start landing interviews, the more practice you can get with interviews, the better you will naturally be. It's really, really simple. And the way you get more practice without actually having to go through the actual job application is through mocks. Now, when it comes to the data science and machine learning interview process, it's quite different to the standardized approach that software engineers take. Our field is literally the Wild West of interviews. But in my opinion, if you want to cover all your bases, you should run mock interviews for introduction and screening. This interview is to show that you are a good fit for the role that you're applying for. You should run a mock for theoretical interviews. So this is all about testing your foundational knowledge. You should then definitely run a mock interview for behavioral interviews, because this is the one I find most people suffer with, because it's quite far removed from the technical aspects of the data science and machine learning jobs. And the behavioral interview is all about polishing your soft skills and, showing your soft skills and your storytelling abilities. And finally, you should also do a mock interview for case study presentations. And these ones are all about presenting the technical things in a digestible manner. In fact, these interviews are probably the most realistic when it comes to the actual job, but either way, you should still prepare mocks for these. Now, running mocks for all those interviews may sound like a lot of work, and it is a lot of work to do completely on your own. So if you want practice with mock interviews and have someone help you through the whole process of landing a data or machine learning job, then I recommend you apply to Code2 Careers. This is my coaching program where you'll work directly with me to land your dream data or machine learning job within 3 to 6 months. There's a link below where you can apply, and I can't wait to work with you. See you in the next video.